Now let's talk about Part Y compressors. If you remember in a previous video, we talked about delta and single phase. Now, this is a Part Y compressor. As you will see, unlike star delta, he's got two individual stars. You can see them better here. You have U1, V1, W1, one star, and U2, V2, W2, another star. And on the right hand side you will see the way they configured. Now you have to check each winding of this compressor when you do an electrical investigation. So you'll pull the wires out and then you have to check the winding. In between U1, V1 and W1 you have to have the same resistance. And in between U2, V2, W2 you have to have the same resistance as well. Now let's say the winding number 1, the star number 1, it is the star A, and the other one it is star B. Because they 50-50, the power of the star A it is equal with the power of the star B, which means even the resistance in between their windings are similar. If you will check as an example, you put a multimeter in between U1 and U2 or W2 or V2, you will have no reading because, as I said, they are individual windings. Please look to the pictures and see the way you have to investigate this system and pull your own conclusion, but be careful. Don't confuse this system with the star delta. In your working life, it is more likely that you will find the situation where the two stars are not equal. I found compressor where one star is 60 and the other one is 40. That's called 60 to 40%. You will measure the windings just like for the 50-51, but the total resistance of the winding which has got 60%, it is less than the one which has got 40%, because the first winding has got more power than the second one. And you have to make sure when you wire the compressor, you will always start first time the 60% one. So if you'll talk about the power, I mean the watts, the star A, which is number 1, the yellow one, it is powerful than the star B, which is the blue one. That's what you have to know about 60 and 40% winding. So this is about 60 and 40%. All you have to remember that you have to start first the 60% winding. Now you will also have to measure the earth leak, the insulation test. You have to do that using a calibrated multimeter or a Amiga. You have to make sure that the value you read should be above a mega ohm, because otherwise your compressor might not be safe to run. This is a rule. On the same electrical box you'll see two other pins. They are the thermal overload protection. You have to measure, and the overload protection can be analog with a thermal resistor which give you a different value, or it could be just like a bimetal blade which is on and off. You have to make sure that if the compressor is cold, the thermal overload protection, it will give you a closed circuit, otherwise it might be damaged. Sometimes you have a good compressor and only the thermal overload protection is damaged. This is all about the thermal overload. Now let's see how can we wire the Part Y system. In a real world, the contactor you see on this picture will be enclosed into the control panel. So you need the control panel, and then you will wire the contactors. Then you will wire the compressor, but you will see in the lower side of the contactor you have two thermal overload protections. They're adjustable, so you have to adjust the amps as per running amps of each windings. Now you wired the U1, V1 and W1. It is time to wire the U2, V2 and W2. Make sure, and this is very important, you will respect the compressor rotation. Don't make this winding to rotate against each other, otherwise you can destroy the electrical system of this compressor. Now you have to turn the control on. I didn't put any control on this. I will do it on other videos. At the moment this is only the power circuit, so please ignore the fact that you cannot see the control. And then the first contactor will start. It's got a time delay. Now that time delay will count, and then will enable the second contactor, which will enable the secondary winding. And this is all about the Part Y compressor. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.